So I've got a lot of questions from you viewers on how I got my tourist visa, because I know some of you are struggling to get your girlfriends, fiancés, or your wives to come to the US or other Western countries. And I know it is very hard. When I started traveling, it was very hard for me as well. But it is a case-to-case basis, and it depends on what kind of visa you're applying for. So I just want to make a little disclaimer here, guys. I'm not an expert when it comes to visa processing. You have to check with your maybe immigration visa experts or visa agencies, consultants. I've mentioned that it wasn't really that hard for me because I had an extensive travel history. So I visited Southeast Asian countries. It's visa free. I've mentioned as well that I've been to the United Kingdom, and also I had 2 Schengen visas to visit Europe, but I was not able to use them because of COVID and other circumstances. So basically, I have a good history record, so it helps a lot. And as I've mentioned before, it's very difficult for a Filipina to travel outside the country, even just going to Southeast Asian countries that don't require visas. There's this certificate that we Filipinas should get, especially if you're married, engaged, or even just in a relationship with a foreign guy. This is called the CFO certificate, or the Commission on the Filipinos Overseas. Even if you're not even married, even if you're not engaged, as long as your boyfriend or your partner is foreign, then you have to get it. You might not need it, but I highly suggest that you get this, because there are tons of horror stories that I've read online, and I've talked to people who wasted plane tickets, hotel reservations, money, and it's frustrating even though you have your visa. Let's say, for example, the United States says that, come on board, you're welcome here. You might be offloaded or kicked off the plane in Manila or Cebu in the Philippines, because the immigration officer there won't let you go because there's a missing requirement, the CFO. They are very inconsistent. Sometimes they ask for it, most of the time no, but it pays to have it handy, to have it with you. And there's no expiration, so just go ahead and do that. You can do it online. It's the cfo.com.ph or something, and I think it is free. I have this comment from one of the viewers saying that, how is it easy for you to get a visa? Was it because you're famous or something? Or I heard that it takes years. Again, guys, it depends on your situation. Plus, this is a tourist visa. The visas that'll take years, they're the migration visa, or something that you'll immigrate, like the K1 if you want to get married, or the spousal visa. It's a totally different kind of visa. So let's talk about my visa. It's B1, B2 visa. So when you apply for that, you're either given single entry. It depends on their discretion. But for me, I was lucky. I got a multiple entry, and it's valid for 10 years. In my case, I was allowed to stay up to 6 months here in the US, but I don't think it's possible for me to do that, considering how expensive it is here. There's no specific requirements because it'll vary if you're a married person applying for a tourist visa, or if you're annulled, single. It depends. I'm not saying it's true, but they say it's a red flag if it's a single, unmarried Filipina going to apply for a tourist visa, because there's like the immigration intent, especially if you're seeing your boyfriend, that kind of thing. And also, if the sponsor doesn't have enough funds to support you while you're here, which is, most of the time they would deny you. I have mentioned in one of my previous videos that I applied for a tourist visa way back in 2019 and I got denied. I think the reason for that, it's because again, as I've mentioned, a single, unmarried Filipina. And at the same time, I was in between jobs. So I can't really establish that I can, support myself. I was just trying my luck at that time. But anyway, guys, so I think the turning point this time was because I have financial means to take care of myself. And also the most crucial thing that you have to prove to the consul during the interview is you have enough reasons to go back to the Philippines. Like, you're not going to overstay here or just disappear. You have to establish that proof that you have something in the Philippines, you're going back, you're not going to abuse your visa privileges, and you can take care of yourself. The average Filipina, sometimes they can't really prove that because aside from not having enough savings, no properties, no nothing, it's maybe most of them are being supported by their foreign partners, or even if they have a job, it's still not enough to cover the costs of traveling to the United States and other Western countries. This is just a tip for my Filipino brothers and sisters. When you're going through the interview, I highly suggest that never, ever lie to the consul, because they'll know when they're asking those questions, they already know the answers. So please bear in mind, do not lie and stick to what you've declared in your DS-160 form. There's like an online form that you'll submit to the US Embassy. Plain and simple, just don't lie. Just tell the truth. The truth will set you free. And it's easy that way, guys. You don't have to memorize a story in your head, because you're just telling the truth. So there are two ways to apply for visas. You either do it yourself or hire a visa consultancy. For me, I did use a visa agency because I didn't have the time to do the administrative work or the gathering. But my case was really easy. I already have all the necessary documents because, as I've mentioned, I have applied before, so it's gonna be the same thing, and all I have to do is just provide the missing ingredient, which is, stable income stream. So yeah, that's about it. And depending on depending on your area in the Philippines, or depending what kind of visa agency, it'll cost you between 100 to 500 US dollars. But I highly suggest, guys, that you do it yourself if you have time. And if you're not in a hurry or anything, if you have plenty of time on your hands, it's not that difficult. So, okay, going back, the visa requirements that I prepared, obviously I did the online DS-160 form, and this is online and this is for free. You have to pay for the visa fee. When I applied, it was only 160 US dollars, but now I heard it's jumped through 180 or 185. So you have to also prepare your original PSA birth certificate. And for married people or for annulled people, you have to prepare those kind of certificates, your annulment certificate or your marriage certificate. So this is not really necessary, but I still got my NBI clearance. Purpose is for travel abroad. It's basically our FBI. They're checking if you've got criminal history, if you've been a very, very bad boy or girl. I think I paid 130 pesos for that. Also, obviously, you need a valid passport and your previous passports. And I have two passports, Philippine passports, my expired one and my current one. Next is you have to have 2 pieces of 2x2 colored size photos on a white background with collared shirt. So your chest or your shoulders should be covered. It should be taken in any photo studio. Okay, so original or notarized copy of proof of funds. So what I did, I prepared my original bank certificate. And by the way, guys, in the Philippines, you have to pay about $4 to $5 depending on your bank to get a bank certificate to certify that they have your money. Is It is stupid. So, aside from that, you have to prepare your bank statements to make sure that you just didn't open your bank account prior to your trip. 3 to 6 months bank statements. Photocopy or the original copy of your assets, like if you got land titles, condos, deed of sale, tax declaration, that kind of thing, or if you have a car, a business, or something like that. So you just have to present your assets. If you have a car, obviously you have to present the photocopy of your LTO car registration and official receipts, like the ones that you get from your DMV here in the United States. If you're employed, you have to present your original employment certificate and your approved leave of absence, saying that yes, your company is allowing you to go on a vacation. You can also provide scanned copy of your company ID, pay slips, recent 6 months, and your ITR, your income tax return. I'm not employed like a physical company. I am self-employed. I have actually here it's my certificate of registration for my YouTube from the BIR. That's what I provided for mine. My certificate, my ITR, income tax returns from the BIR. What else? If you're a student, all you have to do is provide your original certificate from your school or university and other school credentials, school ID, that kind of stuff. Again, guys, some of these documents are not going to be asked for during your interview, but it's best to have them. I understand the stereotype of the people who just disappear in a foreign country, not just here in the US, but also in Europe, other Western countries, heck, even in the Middle East or some other Asian countries to work. Because some of our Filipino brothers and sisters, they are suffering because of some Filipinos doing that kind of shite. We even call them this TNT. No, not the TNT that explodes, not a bomb. It's TNT, tago ng tago. Meaning, you're undocumented, you're always hiding from the authorities. So let's not do that. Let's change the perception of other Western countries about Filipino visiting, so that it's gonna be easier for us to get the appropriate visas. Applying for a tourist visa shouldn't take you years. The quickest is like a month. This is the thing. Once you have all your necessary documents, you have paid your visa fees, and you had created your CGI portal, because you have to register yourself there, because that's where you get your appointment for your interview. I think it is the waiting game. After COVID, after the pandemic, there's tons of backlog applications, so it took like a year to get an interview appointment. In my case, when I checked the website, the earliest schedule was in November or in December, but I was very, very persistent. I was checking in the middle of the night in the Philippines, checking if there are slots open, and it opened. I was so lucky. It opened for July, and I was able to grab it and went through the process going to Manila. So for me, for my case, I was just lucky. This is not the rule. I am the exception, I guess. It took me about a month to secure my tourist visa. Guys, I have a little tip for you. So, as I mentioned, it might take months to get an interview schedule. And this is what usually happens. When there are cancellations, some of the visa agencies are the ones, booking it. And later on, they're selling it at a premium price. So if you're in a hurry to get an earlier slot for an interview, sometimes they'll sell it to you as high as $250. Go to the website and check it in the middle of the night, like between 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. in the Philippines, and keep refreshing the page, because sometimes it comes out. And once you get an earlier slot, book it. Mine was just pure luck. When I was When I was editing one of my videos, I was checking the website, and then I was like, it was 3 a.m. in the morning, and suddenly there's an open slot a week from that, from that day. And I just flew to Manila and then did the whole thing. And I was lucky, so all you have to do is just do the same thing. Check it. I would say maybe every 5 minutes. If, you know, if you're a nocturnal person, then you can do that. Well, folks, that's the story of how I got my U.S. tourist visa. But I just have to warn you guys, if you're intending to bring your Filipina to your home countries via tourist visa, it might be difficult. And here's why. It depends on who's paying for your trip. See, this is the tricky part. If you're the one paying for the trip, like you're the one who's paying for the plane tickets, or if you're the one depositing money into her bank account so that she can show that she has money in it, or if she doesn't have a solid reason or a rock solid reason for her to go back to the Philippines, well, she might have some explaining to do during her interview, and most likely she would be denied. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's just, the chances are slim. But I'm not discouraging you guys. I'm just telling it like it is. Well, other than that, sure, try your luck. You can also join Facebook groups, people who are trying to apply for tourist visas. They exchange tips and tricks there. It also helped me a lot. And yeah, just try your luck. Just establish that you're not going to be a liability and you can be okay in a foreign country. Okay, so let's talk about my driver's license. A lot of people were asking, oh, how did you get a driver's license that fast? Well, first of all, guys, I don't have to get a driver's license here in the United States. I don't have to go to the DMV. The United States allows foreign driver's license here for up to 4 months. And depending on which state you're in, you can drive up to 1 year. So what I did, I have my foreign driver's license, obviously from the Philippines. And on top of that, I also got my international driver's license. I applied for that prior to my trip. So I paid $80 for that in the Philippines from the AAP organization, the National Auto Club. Yep. So yeah, I'm allowed to drive here in the United States using my Filipino driver's license and my international driver's license. Also, don't forget to get insurance. It pays to cover your hours because I don't want to be sorry later, and I want to be, a law-abiding tourist. The same thing when I'm driving. I don't want to go over the limit. I know some of you guys said that I can go over the limit for, maybe 5 miles, but I'm not comfortable doing that, especially I'm just a guest here. I don't want to be arrested, or I don't want to be pulled over by the highway patrol. Anyway, folks, if you have more questions, just leave them in the comment section below and I'll try to answer them as soon as possible, as much as I can. Alrighty? That's it for today. Thanks for watching.
If you think about it, I'm kind of like a teacher, providing knowledge about the Philippines twice a week. My course covers many different subjects, including the psychology of dealing with the local inhabitants, the mathematics of constructing a workable budget, and even biology with the sometimes bizarre mating habits of the Filipina. All I ask for this higher education is that you subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so you're never late for class, and check out my Patreon page for extra content and exclusive features. And while you're waiting for your next lesson, it might be a good idea to study the other course material, because after grading your last exam, I'm afraid I'm gonna need you to stay after class for a little cramming session. Are you ready?